Good afternoon. We're back with more Marvel Champions, and today will be a card review of the Venom Hero Pack, the last hero pack of this Galaxy's Most Wanted cycle, a cycle that I have found disappointing overall, with Groot and Drax in particular being disappointments. Star-Lord and Gamora were okay, but not much more than B+ or A- tier heroes. So nothing that I found as fun or as engaging as Ant-Man, for example, who's probably my favorite hero at the moment. Doctor Strange is very powerful, and I enjoy playing him against high difficulty challenges. Same with Captain America. But no heroes really in this cycle that provided the same level of enjoyment or feeling of power that you want when playing a superhero power game. But let's take a look at Venom and see what he brings to the table. Flash Thompson has 4 recovery as the standard 6 hand size, 12 hit points. You can control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword. Setup: discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a weapon upgrade, then add that card to your hand. Why? Why can't you just search your deck for a weapon upgrade? We've seen this a lot this cycle, and with some of these heroes in general, where they give them power and then restrict it in some way. Let's take a look at the weapon upgrades that he has and see what they look like, and then we'll come back to this ability later. We can't fully evaluate it without seeing the weapon upgrades. Venom 1/2/2, you can control 1 additional upgrade that has the restricted keyword. Symbiotic Bond resource, take 1 damage, generate a wild resource. Limit once per phase. Interesting. Okay, with 12 hit points, that's decent. That's a decent ability. Hand size 5. So we're looking for a couple things with heroes. We're looking for defensive abilities. We're looking for threat reduction. We're looking for the ability to ready themselves. We're looking for the ability to crowd control with stun or confuse, and we're looking for the ability to ramp up as the game goes along, because the bosses ramp up in difficulty as the game goes along. They increase in stats from stage 1 to stage 2 or stage 2 to stage 3. They also gain additional abilities sometimes. And so if the bosses are gaining power, then we want our heroes to gain power as they move through the game. So let's take a look at Venom's hero cards. Behind enemy lines, a 2-cost event, remove 3 threat from a scheme. If you paid for this card using only science resources, confuse an enemy. Well, the ability to crowd control is good. The 3 threat, overall this card provides good value if you can pay for it using only science resources, and that's not an easy restriction. Now, Venom does generate a wild resource, which is very helpful, so you really only need a Venom resource and then 1 other science resource to pay for this, and you'll get a pretty good card. An event which never really grows in power over the course of the game, but a good card up front. Get a couple of those. Grasping Tendrils, a 2-cost event, a hero interrupt defense when the villain initiates an attack against you. Cancel that attack if you paid for this card using only strength resources, stun the villain. Okay, that's a very strong card. It's not exceptional, but it's pretty close. It's very, very good if you pay for the card using only strength resources. So you'll have to probably use a Venom resource and 1 other strength resource from the hand. But if you can do that, this is very strong. And so Venom's got in spades one of the tools that we're looking for, which is crowd control. His ability to cancel an attack, stun the villain, and confuse. And that looks very strong defensively. Very, very good. He has the ability to do those things in ways that are efficient. Locked and Loaded, search your deck for a weapon upgrade and add it to your hand. So it's a simple cycle card. It reduces the size of your deck. Not much to say about that until we look at the weapons. Run and Gun, 3-cost event, ready Venom, and each weapon upgrade you control. Well, we don't know if this is going to be efficient or not generally without seeing the weapon upgrades. So we'll have to come back to this one as well. We get 3 of those. Savage Attack, deal 5 damage to an enemy if you paid for this card using only lightning resources. This attack gains overkill. So it's Relentless Assault. Now, this is a little bit underpowered for a hero card. We typically expect hero cards to be more powerful than the aspect cards that are similar to them, and this isn't really more powerful than Relentless Assault, and so I would like to see this card have 6 power. I don't think it would be overpowered at 6. I think it would be just fine at 6 power. 6 damage, I mean. 2 cost, 6 damage, I think would be just fine, and would make this better. As it is, it's okay, but I would like to see hero cards generally be a little bit more powerful than the similar aspect cards. Get 2 of those. Project Rebirth 2.0, 1 cost support. Exhaust Project Rebirth 2.0. Choose to either draw 1 card or heal 3 damage from Flash Thompson. So with this card you could heal for 6 without ever needing to use Flash Thompson's exhaust or his action. This could give a reason to flip to Alter Ego. This is really strong. That's really strong healing. It's up there with Aunt May. I like this card. I generally don't like Alter Ego cards because we don't want to be in Alter Ego too much in solo. But I do like this card. I think it's very strong. And what we're looking at with the CCs and the healing is a defense-focused hero, I would say. But let's look at his weapons. We got Multi-Gun, a 3-cost upgrade. Restricted, exhaust Multi-Gun, choose one of the following, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Choose a player, deal 1 damage to each minion engaged with that player, or remove 2 threat from a scheme. This is a good card, and it's a good ramp card. Ramp meaning that you get value every single round. So you build it early, you don't get full value from it right away, but over the course of the game, it gets better and better and better, not because it gains power, but because you continue to get value from it every turn. So after like 4 turns, you've gotten 8 from it for your 3 cost, and 10, and then 12, and so forth. So it gets more and more efficient the longer the game goes, and that's why I would consider it a good ramp card. You want heroes to have ramp cards because you want them to gain power over the course of the game. So with Multi-Gun, you would add the ability to deal 2 damage per turn, or 1 damage AoE, or 2 threat, and that's very good. This is a great weapon. This is one that you will very much hope to get when you're discarding cards from the top of your deck at the beginning of the game. Spider Sense, 2-cost upgrade. When the villain initiates an attack against you, draw 1 card. Okay, very strong. Once again, we're looking at a defensive-focused hero, similar in some ways to Spider-Man, which makes sense thematically. But this card provides great value for what the cost is, and one that you're nearly always going to want to play, and it's another ramp card. Ramp meaning it gets more efficient cost-wise as the game goes along, because you continue gaining value from it turn after turn. Venom's Pistol. Restricted, max 2 per player, 3 for Venom. A 1-cost upgrade. When you use one of Venom's basic powers, exhaust Venom's Pistol. Venom gets +1 to that power for this use. Okay. It's okay. You can use it on your defense as well as your offense or your thwart. So, again, this seems like a defense-focused hero, but with a little versatility with the Multi-Gun and with the Venom's Pistol. Is the next card different? No, it's Venom's Pistol as well. Well, when you're discarding from the top of your deck, that means you only have a 1 in 3 chance to get the Multi-Gun, which is the one you really want. I don't understand that limitation, really. I would prefer that you can just search for the Multi-Gun. I think this hero would be pretty strong with that. As it is, what we're looking at is a defense-focused hero. He has some of the tools we're looking for. So let's go back and look at the cards that we didn't evaluate earlier. Run and Gun. Readies Venom in each weapon upgrade. So you get 2 from the Multi-Gun, you get 1 from each of Venom's pistols, you get 2 from Venom's basic attack. So that's 6 in value for the 3 cost. That's a little expensive for that. Now if you're able to add a 4th weapon from basic or aspect cards, then you're looking at a pretty good card. And this will scale up as the game goes along and more weapons are added that people will want to play. However, if you add more weapons to the Venom deck, then you reduce the likelihood of drawing your best weapon early in the game. the multi-gun, and that's not good. But that is a significant limitation, I think. And what happens if you're only playing Venom's multi-gun and 2 pistols and you draw all of them in your opening hand? Setups are not optional. Are you forced to discard your entire deck and start out with an additional encounter card as punishment for something you have no control over? I'm not sure I like that ability. I think I would rather see you have the ability to search for the weapon you want. And then I'd have no problem giving Venom like an A+ tier, or even a S- maybe? Possibly even S up there with Ant-Man. But the inability to choose the weapon that you want at the beginning of the game is a significant limitation. And one I'm not sure I like. I'm not really in favor of giving players the potential for power, but then limiting access to it. Is there any other cards we said we were going to look at later? Locked and Loaded. Okay, so you can search for your multi-gun. So yeah, you might not get it early game, but at least you have one other way to go get it from your deck. And that was it. Okay. Well, overall, I think he'll work really well with Protection. Protection has Unflappable, hard to handle, so it can offer benefits for you when you defend an attack and don't take any damage, which Venom's going to be able to do a lot because he has his 2 Venom's pistols, which can add defense, so that could bump him up to 4. And then if you're running Energy Barrier as well, or like Never Back Down or Desperate Defense, yeah, Venom's going to be able to defend and not take any damage a lot, like really a lot. And so he'll be able to draw a lot of cards with Unflappable. He'll be able to remove a lot of threat with Hard to Handle. I think we're looking at a very strong Protection hero. Probably like an A+ hero. I think this is the best one of the set, of this cycle. Better than Star-Lord or Gamora. He's not going to be that good if you're running Protection and you need threat removal, though. So he'll only be good in certain scenarios, but there are scenarios where he will be very strong because of his ability to take advantage of those protection cards which provide good value and get more efficient the further into the game you go. That is the best aspect for him, I think. If you're not in the protection aspect, his ramp is a little weak relative to Ant-Man or Iron Man or Doctor Strange, so I don't know that I could give him an S rating or an A+ rating outside of protection. He'd probably be roughly equivalent to Star-Lord or Gamora, who are like probably B+ champions, I think is where they're going to wind up for me. But Venom is better. Venom is a very strong defensive hero with some ability to do offense with his run and gun or with his multi-gun, but I think it'll end up being a very long, grindy game with Venom, but I think he'll be pretty fun to play, and I think he'll feel pretty powerful as a defensive hero. If you could search for the weapon that you want at the beginning of the game, it'd probably be an S tier hero. As it is, probably an A+ tier hero. There will be some scenarios where he will really excel and do well even against heroic difficulties, and there will be some where he might not be that good if the scenario really needs a lot of threat removal, which his kit doesn't have a lot of. It has the multi-gun, but if you don't get the multi-gun, and it's only a 1 in 3 chance that you will at the beginning of the game, and that's if you're only running 3 weapons. If you don't get the multi-gun right away, his threat removal is really limited with the 1 thwart and with just the 2-cost 3 threat removal card. And if you're running Justice, then you don't get to take full advantage of his strong defensive abilities. But I do think this is the best hero of the set. Let's take a look at the aspect cards that come with him. Justice cards, interesting. Jack Flag is the ally, 4 cost, 2 thwart, 1 attack. After he thwarts, place 1 ammo counter on him. Exhaust him and remove 1 ammo counter to deal 2 damage to an enemy. That's strong value for him. Not exceptional, but pretty strong. It requires 4 turns to take advantage of, though. And you may not get 4 turns, because on higher difficulties we usually need to use allies to tank a boss attack after a turn or two. So it'll be hard to get full value out of him, but if you can, he's strong. So I would definitely run him in Justice decks. And Justice allies tend to be a little weak compared to the other aspects, and so this is a good, strong addition to the Justice aspect. Scare Tactic. 1 cost event, deal 3 damage to a confused enemy. It's too niche. It provides too little for the setup required to do it. If this provided 4 damage, I would run it, I think. Maybe. Maybe. Depends on how reliably you can confuse the boss. But at 4 damage, it would be much more tempting. At 3, no, I don't think I would run this. I think it provides too little. Making an entrance, a 1 cost event. When your hero makes a basic thwart, it gains +2 thwart for that thwart. After that thwart ends, if your hero removed all threat from a scheme that way, heal 2 damage from your hero. It's good value. It requires you to have your basic action available. That's the only downside, but it's good value for the card. So if you do reliably have your basic action available for thwarting with your hero, I would run this in Justice. I don't know that happens a lot in solo, though. A lot of the time we have to use our basic action to defend a boss attack. Like if the boss attacks 2 times in a turn, or on Expert, if he exhausts you with that Expert card, then this would not be good. It would just be something you have to throw away. Something that you would wish is something else. But if you do have your basic action available, like maybe you'll have that more often in multiplayer, I don't know. Then this does provide good value for its cost. Sonic Rifle, 3 cost upgrade, another tech weapon. Okay. Uses 2 charge counters, exhaust Sonic Rifle and remove 1 charge counter from it. Confuse an enemy. Deal 2 damage to that enemy instead if it's already confused. Okay, this is good value for its cost. It's a weapon, so you could use it with Venom's run and gun, but you would have to include Sonic Rifle in your deck, and that means reducing the chances that you get multi-gun early. So that's a trade-off. But you would get full value out of your run and gun and make run and gun a good card if you had a full slate of weapons on the table, but you can't do that, right? You can do 1 of Venom's pistols, but not both, because you're restricted to 3. But I like Sonic Rifle. I think it's good. I think you would want to use it in a lot of Justice decks because of its strong value. Maybe not every deck, but yeah, it does provide good value for its cost. And it provides CC for heroes that may not have CC, and that's good. Very strong card, strong addition to the card pool. Star-Lord, the 1 Guardian ally that we didn't have yet. 2 cost, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 3 health. Star-Lord's attacks gain ranged. After Star-Lord enters play under your control, deal yourself 1 face down encounter card. That's terrible. The power of this card does not justify giving yourself a face down encounter card. I don't see anybody ever wanting to run this. Unless another hero comes out besides Star-Lord that takes advantage of face down encounter cards. The only reason Star-Lord ally would make sense is in a Star-Lord hero deck, but you can't do that, so... No, this card needs way more power to make it worth dealing yourself an encounter card. Just gaining ranged isn't enough. He'd need like ranged and piercing at least. But preferably 4 power on his attacks would make it worth it. Yeah, I think he would be fine at 4 power on his attacks. As he is, I would consider this unplayable. Resourceful, 1 cost upgrade, discard to generate a wild resource. Okay, it's just... it doesn't really do anything. Why wouldn't you just... I guess it gives you the option of using it as a resource on a future turn, so it's like a versatility card. I don't really see this ever getting run. It's too little. You basically are spending this plus one other card to generate one resource. That's like giving yourself a negative resource. And the only upside is that it's wild, but I don't think that is ever really worth negative one resources. Side holster, 0 cost upgrade. Play under any player's control. You can control one additional weapon upgrade that has the restricted keyword. I don't know if it's generally going to be worth running this with the current card pool. Now, there may be in the future so many restricted weapons available that are so good that you do want to play this. But right now, not really. Not really. We need a bigger card pool for this card to make sense, I think. Plasma pistol. 2 cost upgrade. Restricted. Uses 3 charges. Exhaust plasma pistol and remove 1 charge. Deal 1 damage to an enemy. 2 cost for 3 damage is not very good. Now it is a tech weapon, so it could be +1 hand size for Iron Man. And that's something to take into account. But outside of Iron Man, 2 cost for 3 damage is no good. I don't think anybody really wants to do that. Yeah. Not Rocket Raccoon, not Venom, maybe Iron Man, only because of the +1 hand size. Is that everything? I don't think so. There's going to be other aspect cards as well. Yeah, we got Welcome Aboard. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait. 1 per round. Reduce the resource cost of the next ally played this phase by 2. For 0 cost, that's great. If you're running a Guardian and leadership cards, this is a auto include. Guardian with the leadership aspect, I would always include this card. It's very good. Love it. Shake It Off, 1 cost event. After a Guardian character takes any amount of damage from an attack, give that character a tough status card. Okay, that's decent value for an event. Probably makes the most sense in Venom. But yeah, if you're running a Guardian and you're running protection, I'd include this. It's good value for what the cost is. It's after a Guardian character, not after you take damage. And it has to be from an attack, not from consequential damage. But yeah, I like this card for protection. For running Guardian characters. Makes most sense on a hero, probably. Crew Quarters, 1 cost support. Exhaust Crew Quarters, heal 1 damage from an alter ego. No. No, we're not an alter ego enough to take advantage of this. We need a lot of uses of this to make it good. Probably 4, at least. And we don't want to be an alter ego that much. Fusillade, 2 cost event, exhaust a weapon upgrade you control, deal 5 damage to an enemy. Okay, so I guess this like gives a use for spent weapons, but why would you play this and not just play like Relentless Assault or something like that that deals 5 damage without the caveat of needing a weapon to exhaust? And I don't think you'd ever run both of those cards, so this card is overcosted, and it does something that another card already does better, and I don't think you would run both. And that is it. Okay, well, overall, the best of the Guardian cycle, the best hero of the Guardian cycle, in my opinion. A good, strong protection hero, likely to get better as more weapon upgrades become available. Different options for weapon upgrades become available. Probably going to be in some very long, grindy games, but where you're controlling things well. Controlling boss attacks well. Not going to be very good against scenarios where you need to remove a lot of threat. But overall, I like this hero. I think it's the strongest of the Guardians. I'd give it an A. A plus. If Star-Lord and Gamora are like a B, B plus. Probably just a solid A for Venom. And like a B for Gamora, or B plus for Gamora. And Star-Lord and everybody else is Rocket's like a C, and Drax and Groot are dumpster tiered for this cycle. So next up we will have the Mad Titan Shadow. First we'll have a video giving my thoughts on this cycle. And maybe we'll do a video where we try playing Groot, where we pretend that his interrupt, it doesn't say forced interrupt, it just says interrupt, because I'm just curious if that will fix the hero or not. And I'd also like to test out like Thor or Hulk with a hand size of 5, because I'm not sure hand size 4 should actually exist in the game. Don't think it's necessary. I think it's frustrating for players. Anyway, this will be future videos, and then we'll move into Mad Titan's Shadow and the 4th cycle of the game. So, thank you for watching.